Welcome back to Burning Eyes Tech, guys. Today's episode, we're going to be covering sensitivity labels and retention labels, not to mention classification. So, in today's lesson, we're going to be explaining exactly what sensitivity labels and retention labels are, and how or where you can go and actually configure them, and why you would want to go and use them. So, let's jump in. What are sensitivity labels? Sensitivity labels can help the users to classify documents and protect the sensitive content in the files. The sensitivity labels enable data classification across the company and enforce protection based on that classification, which helps the user to take the right actions on the right content and prevent unwanted leaking of information outside the organization. Sensitivity labels can be applied manually by end users or automatically based on search patterns, while processed by services such as mail flow rules in Exchange Online and in workflows. So, in short, sensitivity labels protect the content of a document even if the storage on which the data is saved is open for collaboration even with the external participants. Now, if you think about it, this is all very useful. The fact that we've got things like sensitivity labels, retention labels, very useful in the sense of people are no longer working just on premises. In the past, we had a situation where everybody would be in the office, they would be sitting at a desk, probably on a desktop PC. Nowadays, people are on the go. They're no longer just in the office. And data is all over the place. It's no longer behind a perimeter firewall of some kind on premises. It's everywhere. It's in the cloud. It's, you name it, it's on people's devices. This becomes a real concern for us. So, how do you manage these people with their devices and the data? So, today we're specifically more concerned about the data on these devices and the data in the cloud. So, with retention labels and sensitivity labels, you can go and manage the data on these devices and on the cloud, regardless of where they are. Even if the data has actually physically left your premises, you still have control over them. Okay, and then we have retention labels. So this great useful feature allows you to go and specify how long certain types of data gets kept, in other words, stored or archived, so to speak, and when certain types of data should be deleted. So very useful in the sense of, we are humans, we're bound to go and forget to go and store certain information or to go and delete certain files. And it's also quite tedious to go and do that. So retention labels, they help you to go and store data for certain periods of time. So if you need to go and store certain files, certain documents, this could be invoices, for a shop. It could be documents at a law firm. It could be certain documents for a bank. If you need to legally or regulatory keep certain documents for a certain period of time, this is one of the ways you can go and do it, is retention labels. If you need to have certain documents and files deleted after a certain period, so let's say these files or documents are 12 months old, and when they've reached that age, they need to be deleted. You're probably going to go and forget to go and delete them exactly when they're 12 months old. So why not have these retention labels take care of that for you? Generally, from what I've seen, this works both on Exchange, it works on SharePoint, it works on Teams, it works on a lot of these platforms. It integrates to everything. So if you need to keep something for a certain period, use this. If you need to have something deleted at a certain period, use this. Okay, so to summarize, retention policies in Office 365 are used in order to make a classification and enforce the content to be automatically deleted or preserved after a certain period. Retention policies allow you to enforce retention and deletion rules to whole storage locations, such as Exchange mailboxes, SharePoint site collections, or Teams, and in some entities within these locations. For example, you can create a retention policy that retains the content of several teams for 7 years. If certain keywords are found or data loss prevention policy patterns match to stored data. Another approach is achieved by using retention labels. Scoping retention to files and apply labels to them also allows you to enforce retention and deletion based on events. For example, when you need to retain all data of employees that leave your organization for 10 years, you can create a retention label that retains all data for 10 years and trigger an event to act on all data of a user when they leave the organization. Okay, and it's worth noting that any item can have both a sensitivity level and a retention level applied. So don't think to yourself that, oh, I've already applied a sensitivity label, or oh, I've already applied a retention label, I can't do the other one. That is not true. Just because you've got the one does not mean you can have the other. So you can have a sensitivity label and a retention label on the same item at the same time. Both is possible. Okay, and then lastly, boys and girls, before we actually jump into the environment and go and configure these retention and sensitivity labels, I just want to mention there is a difference between retention labels and retention policies. So retention policy is something you'll apply to a whole mailbox or a whole site, like a SharePoint site, and a label is something you'd apply to an item, a file, or a folder. So it's more precise, the labels. So they both allow you to go and keep documents and files or whatever for certain periods of time, or delete them after a certain period of time. But a retention policy, that's going to be applied to a whole mailbox or a whole site. So if you've got a SharePoint site, for argument's sake, and there's a whole lot of documents in there that all need to be kept for a certain period of time, but it's all the same period of time, then you can go use yourself a retention policy. But if you were to use that exact same SharePoint site, and all of these documents need to be kept for a certain period of time, but it's not the same period of time. Some of them might need to be kept for 7 years, some of them might need to be kept for 5 years. Then the retention policy is not going to cut it, because the retention policy is just going to apply to the whole site as a whole. Then you might need to go and resort to labels, which is going to individually apply retention to each item. But if you've got a lot of files in there and they all have the same retention, you might as well just go use a policy, because it's going to be so much quicker and easier. Unfortunately, if they don't have the same amount of retention that needs to be applied here, then you might need to consider using labels instead. Okay, so I think that's enough for the theory side of things. Let's show you guys what this actually looks like on the portal, how and where we go and configure this. Well, here we are. So I'm currently on the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. Now, in case you guys don't know how to get to this center, you can go and type in https://compliance.microsoft.com. You can see it here at the top in my URL. Alternatively, if you were to go to the normal 365 portal and you were to go click here at the bottom left where it says admin, that's a little gray admin tile. To be able to see that tile, you obviously need to have the right license and have the right role assigned to you. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to the main 365 admin center, being this one. Once you get to the main Microsoft 365 admin center, scroll down. You might need to go and click on view more or expand. Scroll down, you'll find there's the security, there's the compliance. You click on the compliance and that's going to open the same tab effectively. It says security and compliance, but it's more the compliance one. The other one is more the security one. And this is effectively where we are right now. Now, when you get to this portal on this page, you're going to be scrolling down here. You might once again need to click on view more if it doesn't show you anything. Scroll down until you get to the category. It says information protection. There we go. Information. I almost clicked on the wrong one. It's the one that says information protection, because we're trying to protect our information. Retention and sensitivity labels is a way of protecting our data. And the fun thing about these labels is they tend to travel with these files. So even if these files leave your environment, if I were to apply a label that says keep it for a certain period, or don't do this or don't do that, it travels with your documents. It's very handy when it comes to those sensitivity ones. All right, so I'm going to click on information protection. Give it a ticky-tacky moment. There we go. Scroll down. At the moment, as you can see, there is not much going on here. You can see it's a nice little description. It tells you, once again, more or less what these labels do. We're going to start things off by clicking here at the bottom where it says create a label. So this is one of the ways you can go about creating yourself a label. So if you want to go and create yourself one, proceed to go click on create a label. And this is what you should see. So what you need to go and type in on this page that says name and create a tooltip for your label. Give it a name. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to call it general. I think I'm going to create 2 of these just to show you guys the difference. I'll call this general. Here I'm going to just go and type in. All right. I think that concludes that. I'm going to go ahead and click on next here at the bottom. All right. As you can see here, it says labels can be applied directly to files, emails, containers like SharePoint sites, Teams, and all that. Choose if you want to go and apply it here or not. I'm just going to go ahead and click on next for now. Here for now, I'm not going to make any changes. I might do that on the second one. So for now, I'm going to leave it. So do you want to encrypt the files and emails? Do you want to mark the content of files? I'm not going to do that in this one, but that is an option you can go and look at. It's pretty cool. If you need to do any changes here at your auto labeling, you can go do that at your own discretion. I'm not going to do that. I don't want that, but that is also a nice little option you can go look at, auto labeling for files and emails. It is available, so just know about it. Obviously, I didn't click on the little groups block earlier, so it's not going to allow me to do this one here. I'm just going to click on next. Here's the same story for database columns. Just going to click next. Summary on this page. Create label. Your label was created. Alright, so the moment mine's not really going to do anything for that matter. I just want to show you what the little wizard actually looks like. Done. Okay, now you guys can see here at the bottom there is the label I went and created. I called it general. I'm going to go through it again. This time I'm going to do slightly different just to show you guys as an extra. So this time I'm going to go and call it internal. If I mistyped, I apologize. I'm not really looking at the keyboard right now. I think that should be enough. Maybe for the admins I can maybe go and write a nice little description there as well. I'm going to go proceed and click on next. Here once again I'm just going to be clicking on next. Okay, and you would remember earlier on this little page I specifically skipped it. I did not tick anything. This time I'm going to go ahead and tick both of these boxes. Control who can access files and emails that have this label applied. Add custom headers, footers and watermarks to files and emails that have this label applied. I'm going to click on next. You'll also notice I think this, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this list on the left hand side is also a bit longer than what it was previously. So on this page I am going to leave it on that option. Going to leave it. User access to content expires. You can choose when it expires. I'm going to leave it on never for now. Allow offline access. I'm just going to say always for now. You can see there's quite a bunch of options to go and play with. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so this section it says assign permissions to specific users and groups. I think we can do that. So let's try that. Assign permissions. Okay, so I think, which one do I want? Doesn't really matter. This is just to show you guys that you can go and do it. So I think let's just go to the top one. It says add all users and groups in your organization. I'm going to go ahead and click on save. This is more like proof of concept, I suppose. Okay, and that should do it, I think. Let's just click on next and get to the next menu. Okay, content marking. Add custom headers, footers, and watermarks. Ah, well, yeah, let's do that. Add a watermark. Yeah, sure. Why not? I think what I'm going to do here, it says add a watermark and it's custom text. So I suppose it doesn't really matter what I type in here. I'm just going to type internal use only. Comprehende. All right. Save. And then we'll go and click on next. Here I'm going to not click on anything for now, but there is an option you guys can go and look at. Next. Here I'm not going to be clicking on anything, but it's extra options you guys can go look at. Once again, next. Here I'm also just going to click on next. So once again, it's just proof of concept. Summary. So here you can just go and see what you've chosen. You can go look for that if you want to. Just going to scroll down. I'm going to click on create a label. Here's our label. Done. And as you can see, there's our two labels, general and for internal use. So I just kind of fooled around there. This was just to show you where you can actually go and configure it and some of the options that you do have available. It's worth noting that obviously some of the options was not available on my side, but the same does not apply to your side. Well, boys and girls, that pretty much concludes it. So we explained what sensitivity labels are. We explained what retention labels are. We even explained the difference between retention labels and retention policies. So all that's left for you to go and do is just to go and publish your labels and apply them to a team, site, or group. Pretty straightforward. I mean, there it is. And yeah, so if you feel this has been informative, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Otherwise, you will not know when I release new content. And I will see you guys on the next episode, episode 9. Bye, guys.
If you love me, let me know. If you don't, then let me